You're about to enter a place where time and space are no longer what you think they are, and the laws of physics no longer bind us to this plane of rational being. Nah, it's just dev tips. This is our 7.1 in a series I call Design and Code My Personal Website in 12 Hours. Today we're going to dive right into the mentoring section. Now this section turned out to be a little bit more complicated than I had planned, mostly due to the way that I handled the testimonials section and then made that work on mobile. But those are covered in the next few days in hours 7.2 and 7.3. Today we're going to do the markup and style for this section. So let's get into it. Let's start by looking at our Photoshop file and taking a look at what we're going to be building today. So we've already built the introduction or the hero shot and the YouTube section. Today we're going to be building this mentoring section. So a little word about mentoring. A while ago I thought, wouldn't it be nice to have just like one-on-one conversations with people? And so I gave out, I think it was 20 or so free mentoring sessions where they're just phone calls between 15-20 minutes, and just talked with people about what they're going through, maybe some insights that I've had along the way, and they turned out to be really, really good. I really enjoyed them, and so did the people that I had conversations with. They seemed to enjoy them. So what I did is I asked them to give a testimonial in return, and then I would start to build up this kind of idea that it's something that I could possibly do. So, so this is the mentoring section, and what I have here is very similar to the sections above it, right? There's the lead paragraph here, and then there's a call to action. Similar, there's a lead paragraph right here, just 4 words in this case, and there's a call to action. The background here is a telephone. It's actually funny. This photograph is I called Los, my podcast co-host, and then I put the phone down and waited for him to answer it, and then I took a picture of him, and then I just kind of hung up on him because I just needed the photograph. I didn't want to talk to him, and he was like, "Why'd you call me? Why'd you call me?" Anyway, so what I have here is a bunch of faces in the first column, and then the lead paragraph in the second. And I wanted to think, this would be like something that people could, click on one of these faces, and then a new paragraph would show up, or a new like testimonial bubble would show up, and I don't really have a clear idea of how the interactions will happen. All I was thinking that it would just be like a kind of like a carousel or something like that. Maybe it'd be yeah, anyway, so we're going to get to that when we get to it. So, but right now let's get started. These are 2 columns that are centered together. We don't want them to float away like they do in the YouTube section. So the best thing to do right now is just to create the files. So let's go in here to our Jade files like we do and create a new file. And we're going to call this one mentoring, section mentoring. .mentoring.jade, and that's going to be our first file that we're going to be working with today. Let's go into the columns file and grab these first 8 lines. These are the columns that we want, right? They're flex, center, 2 columns. We already talked about what that means in the other videos. And now that we have the section mentoring Jade, we need to open up our index and add the section mentoring to the index file so it'll show up after the YouTube. So mentoring, and then it should show up here. But it'll look like just another column set right here. Okay, so let's go into mentoring and not say section.other thing, but call it mentoring. Okay, and now we need to go in and create some sass. Let's go into sections and create new file, call it _mentoring dot sass. Is that how we're labeling the other ones? Oh, none of these other ones have underscores? Well, let's fix that just real quick. I'll fast forward this. we're going to add home dot mentoring. And then we're going to go into section mentoring and say section.mentoring. I'm going to say background pink. And I just do this just to make sure that all of the pieces are connected. So if I hit save here on right here, these two paragraphs will turn pink. Save. Something's wrong. What could it be? Okay, I need to start my server again. Something broke. Something broke my server. Home mentoring. Okay, so the thing that's broken is I didn't name this correctly. So look at all these other sections. They have home dash. Mentoring needs to be renamed to home dash mentoring. Then save. And now I have a pink 2 columns. Everything's connected. Everything is awesome. We have a section dash mentoring Jade and a home dash mentoring Sass. And that is exactly what we want. Okay, so we've turned it pink. We've validated that this works. We can get rid of that. Let's look at the Photoshop file and see what we're supposed to be building. The first thing is easy enough, just that background, right? Background image. We have it here is the image mentoring BG, this thing. So URL mentoring dash BG dot, is it probably a JPEG? I can't remember. And let's give that a save. Okay, there we are. And we need to just do some size here. Cover and position, center. Just your standard fare so far. Okay, now let's look at these first 2 columns. We're going to have the second column here be the one with the lead and stuff. Let's just open up. Let's open up YouTube. Section YouTube.jade. Basically, this stuff is what I want to just duplicate really quickly. I'm going to close that out. Okay, and it's going to be right here. Okay, cool. That looks good. This content of it is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be called Mentoring People Like You. And the CTA is going to be called Schedule a Call. And I don't have a link for that yet. I need to build that internal page, so we'll just leave it blank for now. And let's grab some colors. So the color of this text is that, and the lead is going to be white. So color, okay, that's all white. And then what's this thing called again? The home CTA. Home CTA color is that with a hash in front of it. Cool. Looks really good. Let's look at our Photoshop file. Now we have the 2 columns here. On the left are all the faces, and on the right are columns, but it's pushed down a fair bit. Let's worry about that later. So let's fill this first column with faces. Get rid of this paragraph here, and you know, this would be a good just a good unordered list, right? So UL, we'll call it faces, and then each one of these is going to be a list with a class of face, and the background of the face is going to be declared actually in the markup, the image of the face is going to be declared in the markup. So I'll say background dash image is equal to URL like that. And we'll use http phil.com slash I don't know, how big do these things look? They are here. Let's see. Looks like it's about 80. Let's do 80 wide and 80 tall. That's for the image, and then we have to have, so like okay, so we need to have a space for this bubble, and we'll nest that bubble inside of the face container. It'll be a child. Look at my beard, it's cool. We'll do that like this. How about something like this, bubble? And inside the bubble are going to be the paragraphs. And let's just grab this paragraph here. And then adjacent to that, like a sibling of the paragraph, is going to be another element. Let's say, like, who is this from, right? Nathan Jacobs at this point. Okay. Nathan Jacobs. Okay, and then we're going to do, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, like 6 of these things. I'm going to capitalize on Jade right now. Jade has this awesome feature called mix-in, and a mix-in allows you to just make repeatable kind of modules that are like really simple and easy to use. So I'll just cut all this content right here and go above and say, you just write the word mix-in, and I'll just call this one face because each one is a face. And then you can have parameters in there like URLs and names and stuff, and we'll get to that later. But right now I just want to have this markup being able to be repeated. So I have the mix-in face right there, and I'll just say plus face, and I'll do that 6 times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I should have 6 faces, 6 paragraphs, and it should work pretty easily. Okay, looks like it worked, right? But we need to do a whole lot of styling to this to make it work right. So let's jump over to our styling, home mentoring SAS file. That's what we're talking about. And faces. First of all, I want to see these little bullet points here. That's because they're in a list. So I'll just remove that list style. Is none. Removes the bullets there. Okay, and then let's take a look at these faces. You know, actually, first let's just get rid of this bubble and just deal with that later, right? For now, I want to style just each face. So I'll say dot face, and your height is going to be, we said 80 pixels, and your width will be the same, 80px. And so now we have some dimension there. We just have a really awesome Phil Murray looking good, buddy, looking good. Let's take that border radius and make it 50%. Turn these all into circles. And now I can rely on Phil Murray. I can rely on his dimension being 80/80 because that's what I asked for specifically. But when I pull in avatars from, everybody who gave quotes from like Twitter or Google Plus or wherever I get them from, I can't trust that they're going to be 80/80. So let's make sure to get a stranglehold on the background sizes here. Let's say background size is cover. And position would be center. That looks good. Now they need some space below them. So we'll say margin bottom about, let's say 35 pixels below. How about this box shadow?
and it looks like on the Photoshop file they have a box shadow. Let me tell you what it is. For offset vertical, it's got a blur of 8 and an opacity of 40. So that's 0px, 4px, 8px, and RGB A000. Oh, you go over there. 0.4. And then they have the drop shadow. Great. Now you can see in the Photoshop file that there's some space above where this bubble can kind of like head into the other section. So let's, what? Well, let's just measure that really. How much space does it need above it? Height 284. So that's 280 minus the 50 pixels of padding that the section gives us is like what, 230? Yeah, 230. So we'll go in here to not home CTA. We'll go into your, ooh, it's called home lead, right? And say margin top. It's 250 pixels, and that's right here. Oh, I call these things just lead, but they should be home lead. Like, what if I want to use the class of lead on an internal page somewhere? Not on the home, you know? So let's scope these down. Where did I put lead? Oh, I got this outdented here on, it's in the base section. But this is like, these are home specific files, styles. So I'm going to take these and move them actually, and move them onto the home section. We can make a little section called the home layout style. We can make a section in that file called typography and put it all there. And I want to prefix lead with home lead. And then we can go into all of the shades and put home lead. And it sounds like a little pedantic, I know, but I think it's better for a lot of reasons. Let's open YouTube.jade and put home lead there as well. Home lead. Like that. And then about.jade and say home lead. Okay, that's going to be better in the long run because that lead concept is not going to sneak into subsequent pages because it's home lead. Let's style the bubble, right? So go into the bubble and we'll just grab one of the bubbles right here. What I did was I added a long form HTML amongst all the mix-ins. That way I can edit this one specifically because all of the bubbles are hidden right now, and I want to take one of these faces and kind of open the bubble. So here's a face, and I'll write a class of has bubble open. Yes, and then now I can go into the Sass and say bubble, and then write something like face.has bubble open, and say display block. Are you there? Are you displaying blocking? Has bubble open, face, nope, face bubble, and then write bubble. Okay, so, okay. All right, so the third one has a face, okay. So the third face here has a class of has bubble open. And the child bubble has display block, which is fantastic. Now we can style it. Right, the first thing we need to do, obviously, it's all cramped up in the position, or sorry, the dimensions of its parent, right? We need to release it let's make it position absolute because we need to float it all up and off to the right. See how in the design, here's the face, but it's like kind of off to the right here. So face bubble position absolute. And in order to do that, we need to have a position relative on the parent, which is face. So position absolute, we want it to be pushed to all the way to the right, right? So let's take the left and say 100%, and that will push it from the left all the way out, like that. And then once we've done that, we can put some margin left, and just move it a little bit more out, maybe just another little 5 pixels right there. Now we want to move it up as well. You see the design here, how the foundation of the bubble is in the middle of the face. So what that means is it will go, not push it all the way up like we did the left, we'll push it up halfway, and we'll start at the bottom and move up 50%. See that? Now it's starting there and going up, but it's still maintaining the dimensions of its parent, right? It's just 80 pixels wide. So let's change that by making this bubble wider. We want it to be 300 pixels. Okay, great. Now it looks like a usable paragraph. It certainly does. And we'll do the obvious things, right? Like background black. Okay, not exactly black. RGBA 0.9. Yeah, now you can see things from below it. Let's say 0.8. Yeah, that's good. Give it a padding of 20. And this is going to be fun. Border radius. See, this one here has, on the design, the really thick border radius is right here, and then the apex of the bubble that's pointing to the face is a little bit smaller. So the way you can do this all in like a, what is it, like a shortcut? Not a shortcut, shorthand for the border radius, and you're going to start at the top left, and then go top right, bottom left. So the top left, top right, and bottom right are all going to be the same radius of like 20 pixels, something like this. I could have measured the design, but it's my design, so I'll do what I want. I'll do what I want, and then like 3 pixels. Okay, maybe like 5 pixels. Maybe these 20s are a little bit more like 30s. Maybe these 30s are a little bit more like 40s than we thought. Okay, and then there's a stroke around the, what are these? These are more like 50s or something. There's a stroke around this thing, and it's a white stroke. Call it border. 2 pixels, solid white. Boom, 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 boom. 4. Too much. 3. Ooh, baby bear, just right. Good. Let's move it a little bit further away from the face. So how about 10 pixels? Yeah, I think you're right. Okay, now the face is, the face is the UL. I need to see, let me turn it pink for you guys so you can see what I'm looking at here. I'm noticing that the faces have a problem, and it's a similar problem to what we faced right here, where these, I wanted in the design, see how these faces go all the way to the edge of the colored section area, and so do these thumbnails. Now, the way we did it with the thumbnails is to use negative margins and control the height. And we're going to do something very similar with these faces now. So we'll go to the faces, which is, remember, that's the unordered list. And we'll say faces, what are we going to say? Margin, negative 50 for the top and bottom, and 0 margin for the right and left. And then for the height, we're going to say we want you to be, calculate this. Calc this 100% plus 100 pixels, right? Because we're 100, each of these top and bottom margins, we need to make up for actual content size. The reason we put negative is so we can overcome the padding that's inherent to each of these sections that we put on all the sections by default. And once we've overcome that, we have a really short and small faces, unordered list, and we want to compensate for the negative margins by just stretching that thing out 100% of the height plus the 100 pixels that it loses from having negative margins. Does that make sense? Well, it should, because I just hit save and that's what it looks like. That's exactly what we wanted to happen. Now I can have this kind of, I mean, look at it, it's perfect, right? Look at how, you know, this mentoring section, this lead, words, the headline, forget all my language right now. La la la. Okay, these words are positioned really well to work with this balloon. Why are these guys off to the right? It's faces. I see what you did. It was because it's UL, it had like inferred padding on there. So I had to get rid of it. Gone. Okay, earlier I said that only the bubbles that have this style on of, what was it? Is open or something? Has bubble open. Why don't I just change that a little bit to hover? So I can show you what it looks like when you're going to be like mousing over all these other ones. I want them to show up, right? Pop, 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 pop. So let's do a little bit of a, like a pop, pop, pop transition. And how we're going to do that, so we'll go down here to the hover and say not be display block and display none. We'll change that to opacity. Opacity 1, and change this display none to opacity 0. And a part of changing something from opacity 0 to opacity 1 is you have to keep in mind that opacity doesn't knock it out of the DOM like display none does. Display none will remove it from the DOM. It will still, you'll still be able to click on things. Even if it's opacity 0, you can still highlight all that text. So we have to use another CSS declaration that makes the thing unclickable, and that's called pointer events none. Now that will mean that you cannot click on it, you cannot highlight any of the text that's in it, you can't do anything to it. Your mouse doesn't even know that it's there. So we're going to transition that to all like, you know, over the course of 1.3 seconds or something, and it's going to be ease in out. And I'm going to save that. Nothing looks like it changed, but now when I hover over things, it won't be just that like pop pop pop. It'll be more like a shoo 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 shoo. So here we go. Shoo 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 shoo. Maybe 1.3 or 0.3 is a bit fast. Let's try 2. Shoo 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 shoo. How about 1? I like 2 better. Okay. All right. Sorry. How about this? we're not only going to transition the opacity, but we're going to do transform scale. And we're going to take it from 0 and we're going to make it pop, pop, pop. Transform scale to 1, right? Now it's going to go pop because it's a bubble. Pop, pop, pop. Shwen, 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 shwen. Shwen, 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 shwen. I like that, but it's popping from the wrong place, right? The bubble needs to come up. So we have this transform. We have to use another declaration called transform dash origin. And that we want it, where do we want it to come from? We want it to come from the bottom and the left, come out like he's talking like this. So we'll say bottom left. Are you ready? Let's click it. Let's hover it. Boom. Boom. Shwen, 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 shwen. Everybody. Shwen, 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 shwen. So it's coming from the bottom left like I want it to. Looks pretty good. But we can make it look more bubbly. So right now it's just a linear shwen, 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 shwen. But what if I want it to be like shwen, shwen, like a bubble? Like I'm sorry, I'm not making much sense right now, but let me show you what I mean. So if I mouse in here in my inspector and I find the bubble, I can see that the ease in out is like the normal name for things, right? If I click that, I have, this is in Chrome DevTools, I have this really awesome graphical user interface, a way for me to edit the Bezier curve of the easing property of this transition. Are you with me? Let me show you what I mean. I can grab these little handles right here and actually make new easings. So instead of it going shwun, right now it'll go shwun. See a little bubble? Pop, pop, pop. And that's just because if you can draw a box here, see this? I'm going to draw a box there. See how this top, I'm trying to point to it. You see the top? You see the top here, how it was going out of the box? That means it was actually going to get bigger than the scale, which we said would be ending at 1. So it's going to go like, 0, start at 0, and it's going to go up to like 0.2, 0.35, and then it's going to go 0.1 and then 0.1, 0.2, right? Bigger than 1, and then back down to right at the end of this scale is going to go, it's going to end at 1. So it's actually like popping out like this. Pop, pop. Well, you can do other things like this. Like look at this one. It's going to go really fast in the beginning and then really slow. Woo, woo, wow. See, how's that? Wow. Here's another version of that. It goes really slow in the beginning and then really fast at the end. Pop, pop. But I like the bounce. Doing, doing. Let's do, is that too much? Too much bounce right there. Let's try to make it a little bit less, but still respect the bounce. That looks good. Okay, so now that we have that Bezier, we need to translate that back to our code, of course. So let's grab this code right here at the bottom of the right. Oh, wait, can I just, okay, it's here. Grab that, copy, and go into here in our code where it said ease in out, take that keyword out, and literally paste in that cubic Bezier curve. Now these are the plot points on the XY that give us that curve that goes outside. Save that, and now we got the bounce. Shwa, 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 shwa. See? Looks good, right? Okay, here's a problem. These balloons are going outside of the mentoring section. So let's jump on up back to here, the mentoring section, and say overflow hidden obby. And now the balloons will not pop out. And now you'll say, hey, but Travis, how could I even read these if they popped out? Well, we're going to do that with JavaScript.
All right, well, this seems as good a place as any to stop, and we will come back tomorrow for hour 7.2 where we're going to be doing all that fancy JavaScripting to make this functional. And what fun that will be. If you've enjoyed this video, I'd like you to consider becoming a patron of DevTips. These people did, and they are more awesome for it. It's true. Patrons enjoy back rubs and smoothies, and they also get to watch these videos early, and we have private patron hangouts. Learn more at patreon.com/devtips, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I will see you tomorrow for hour 7.2, and until then, keep on hacking.